So, Kevin, nice to see you, and I would like to ask you to introduce yourself first.
Yeah, so Kevin Brown, the head of digital engagement at LeasePlan. I've been with the company for about 5.5 years. Previously FedEx TNT, before that Oxima, who became Merkel. So big background in automation, technology, marketing, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Hey, can you introduce a bit about the company? Because you mentioned LeasePlan, but in the meantime, something has happened here and there.
Yeah, so LeasePlan was already one of the largest leasing companies in the world, with about 1.8, 1.9 million cars worldwide in 32 different countries. And now we're joining together with another massive leasing company, ALD, to become Avens, which actually makes us the biggest leasing company in the world, with around 3.67 million cars worldwide.
That's amazing numbers. That's almost more cars than we have in the whole Netherlands, I guess. Yes. Hey, before we go into that, we talk about the context of LeasePlan. That's when the moment we first met, right?
Yeah.
So, what was basically the biggest challenge you had during the LeasePlan period?
Yeah, so like about 6-7 years ago, LeasePlan decided to make the step to become a digital leasing company, so a digital service provider for all the customers. It basically means changing every way of working that there is at the company. So everything has to be digitalized, from sales processes to service processes to way of working, absolutely everything. And yeah, it's been a massive challenge, but I think we've done a great job over the years.
Yeah. Hey, and looking at the challenge that you had, I recall we talking about 32 countries and 3 main pillars of people, tech, and process. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, so whenever I joined the company in 2018, my team was called Marketing Technology. We've changed the name in the meantime to be Digital Engagement, because we do more than marketing. But back then, digital was seen as a threat to people in the countries. You're coming here, you're going to take our jobs, you're going to change everything that we're doing. And it wasn't really that. So actually the first thing we had to do is get the different people in the countries on board with what we were doing. We're not going to take your jobs. We're going to improve the things that the day-to-day routine automated things. We're going to automate all of that stuff so that you can focus on the stuff that you actually want to do in your daily job. So that was a massive challenge at the start. We literally had to go country by country, speaking to all these people face to face. It was quite a roadshow. But we got everyone on board, and now that makes our life easier whenever we're introducing new people, new technologies, new anything else, because the people trust you through the things that you've done in the past.
Let's take that back in the end to recap and some tips and pointers you will have for our listeners and viewers. But 32 countries, that's a big number. Tech was all over the place, I assume?
Yes, so the whole thing that we're talking about, standardization of absolutely everything. We can't do digital cost levels, digital service or anything without standardizing the technology, standardizing the processes. It's massive, So if you look, whenever we would go into different countries, then you would see the rabbit coming out of the hat, and they're using all these different old technologies and non-compliant technologies for processes, which is why we then set up the Center of Excellence. Our team from the centre started to push technologies, push everything towards the countries, but also make their job easy for them to onboard in these technologies, which meant it wasn't such a big jump from one to the other. And we would say, all right, the massive programs like a retention, a lead generation programs, all these sort of things, we build at a central level. Yep. Which meant that their day-to-day job, if they want to send newsletters, if they want to send simple communications, anything else, they could do all of that in the applications. But anything else that was more of a global program, which every country needs to have, all these service communications, whether it be on email, SMS, whatever else, we built all of that centrally to make their lives easier.
Basically building a center of excellence.
Yep.
Hey, and I remember an anecdote about one of your biggest challenges was the call center automation process and renewal of cars.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes, so the retention program was obviously a massive one for us. So what used to happen is 6 months before someone's contract run out, a salesperson would get a notification to say, call this person. So what happens is he used to then try and get you on the phone, maybe 2, 3, 4 different calls to get you on the phone. And then try and explain your options. So your car, you can extend the contract, you can buy the car, you can bring the car back, or you can get a new car, for example, all based on, based on the different things that are in your contract. It's your car. So maybe you're at work during the day. It's not something you're going to decide right there and then. So it could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 calls, and every call cost LeasePlan quite a lot of money. So we automated that whole process, using the same data trigger, which the salesperson used to get to say, call this person. So we used that to trigger an email to the person, which is fully personalized based on the data in the contract. So for example, if the car is older than 4 years old, you're not allowed to extend the contract. So that option disappears, these sort of things. And then the customer can click through at their own time. They can then choose what they want to do. So if the car's fine, I'll extend the contract for 12 months. And that saves it on our system, which will save it in the other systems. No one has to do anything. So it's a real good example of a process and an automation which takes the simple jobs out of people's hands. And if the first time we put that live, actually, was quite funny. It was in Ireland, and the head of sales there, JT, we allowed him to click the button to put it live. And then he's seen these emails going out, and he's seen actually a customer interact and extending their contract with 12 months. And it was the first thing he did.
I guess he
called the customer to see, did you really mean to do that? The customer, yeah, it's fine. So automatic trust in the process after that.
Proof right there.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's being there, which you mentioned, is so important.
Yeah.
To let them be part of the process as well. It's not just tech. It's making it easier for people with tech, right?
Exactly, because as every new technology that comes along, if you look even now with AI and all these different things, it's all scary. It's always scary, and especially a digital transformation like it was 5 years ago. It was massive for people. They did these things always in the same way, but now through this digital transformation, bringing these people on board to actually do the work with you and show them what you're delivering as an advantage to them. It meant, there's always been trust ever since. We see salespeople telling us because of these automated processes, they have like a 65% time win, in a week, because they don't have to do these standard calls anymore.
Yeah, they can really contact the client for service purposes instead of...
Exactly, and if you think that retention process has been running for years, and every couple of weeks if the customer hasn't interacted, they'll get a reminder email. And then with 2 weeks to go, the salesperson will still get that automated message to say, now you have to contact them. In all the years it's been running, they haven't had to call us a customer once.
Except for the one.
He didn't have to, but he did.
He did, yeah.
And that would say to me that the processes, the automation, absolutely works perfect.
Hey, and part of that approach and solution was selecting Adobe's RTCDP. What were important criteria for you to choose Adobe?
Yes, so obviously compliance was a big thing going forward with the third-party cookies and all this sort of stuff that's coming in. We had a massive deadline. We had to get live in like 3.5 months to make sure that the tool was compliant. We had a lot of integrations that we wanted to make sure could take place, integrations with Sales Clouds and with all these different things that we already have in place. So there was a lot of strict criteria to make sure that, and we went through exhaustive processes, very exhaustive from my perspective, with a lot of different companies, and some went on, in my eyes, too long, as you well know. But from yourselves, from day one, for me, it was the knowledge level, it was the support, it was the way the interaction happened between my team and your team, and that was just, for me, it was very, very clear that the tool is a very mature CDP, and because of, like I said, the knowledge levels and where we're at the moment, we needed a mature CDP.
Yeah, and one thing that I recall was the connection of people again.
Yeah.
Being transparent, being close to each other, just thinking this through. Because of that deadline, there was no time for funnying around, basically.
As well, I think you could verify that I'm quite strict and to the point with these things. There's no beating around the bush, and especially whenever we have such a tight deadline, there's no time to waste. So I thought the interaction was fantastic. I thought how we have yourself, how Mark, Max, all these different people in the meetings just got us all the information we needed to make the right decision at the right time, and that led to a massive success of actually getting the CDP implemented and live within 3.5 months. We made it in time for our deadline.
Yeah, that was one of the success factors we've written down. We've written down together.
Yep.
But also, if you one of the key learnings you mentioned, like communicating in a non-native language. I really like that tip.
Yeah, that was fun. That was one of our little learnings. So there, in the whole process of getting things live, there's not been many things at all that I would say, hey, it's not really an issue. It's more of a, hey, that didn't quite go to plan. And it's literally cultural differences.
Yep.
I have people from one country, you have people from a different country, both speaking their second language, and then there's a slight mismatch. But the thing that really impressed me is how quickly it was picked up. It was changed, it was explained, everyone was on the right page, and that was within a couple of hours, everyone on the right page, and then we just moved forward. And since then, the guys in my team have been nothing but complimentary about how everything's went, and for me, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, and we also talked about lessons and recommendation, right? Like how we can share. It's not all shiny stuff. You have to share learnings. You have to share the honest part, and as you mentioned, that's why the language part was important, because people can use that. But also, like, timing is key. We talked about timing is key. Be ready.
Yeah,
that was an important factor, right?
Yes. So, well, without mentioning anything, we signed another application a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The data in our applications, well, I always say standardization is the mother of automation.
Yes.
It have to be standardized, otherwise you can't automate. At that point, our data wasn't quite ready. It was frustrating because the company who sold us this application knew the data wasn't quite ready. So whenever we tried to implement that, didn't work. Mm-hmm. So that basically also means if we'd have done the same thing maybe 3-4 years ago with the CDP, we might have had a lot more issues getting things live. But the fact that we learned from those mistakes, made sure that everything was all ready to go, it basically meant that because of the guys I have in my team and you have in your team, it was very, very quick to get this all implemented. There's a massive painful learning, that one. And there's a lot of painful jokes that are still made about it at the office. But it also meant that we were able to implement this very, very quickly.
Yeah, you need to learn in order to move forward, right?
Yeah.
And another, like, let's sum it up with some other recommendations and for other organizations, right? And one thing that I really recall was talking about email templates and brand management. Not just data, but also content and brand management.
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah, so that's from the Centre of Excellence. Our team is always like the brand police.
Yep.
And this is one thing that whenever we had the decentralized systems, 4 or 5 different systems, 6, 7, whatever it was, in all these different countries, you have absolutely no control over.
Yep.
And especially now that we're going to be Avens.
Yes.
It could be a nightmare whenever you're implementing a new brand and then country A is putting in colors or images that are just not to the brand guidelines, and country B is doing a different thing. Or you have the centralized templates, which are the ones that we're building, that they use. Well, we use them for the service messages, and then they create something of their own for the other messages. A customer get very confused. So because of the implementation of a COE, where we now centralize everything and have an overview of what absolutely everyone's doing, we can make sure that not only the LeasePlan brand was implemented and pushed out very, very well, but then moving to Avens is going to be massive for us. It really is.
So again, learnings from the LeasePlan transition helps you move forward with Avens, basically.
Oh, very, very much so. Very much so. And I think it's funny actually about the CDP at the moment. It's literally like a metaphor for where we're at the moment. We've got all the ALD data sources and all the LeasePlan data sources, and we have to merge them to become Avens. And the CDP is basically a metaphor for where we're at the moment.
Yeah. So you're good to go?
Yeah.
And moving forward?
Like I said, it's a lot of challenges moving forward. It's a massive, massive company that we are now. Again, it's going to be down to the people, culture, and tech thing.
Yes.
We have a lot of new colleagues in ALD who will have to be onboarded to these applications. We'll have to, again, build up that level of trust everywhere, which is logical. They've done things in their own way, we've done things in our own way, so we'll have to find a middle road and move forward. But I think technologically, we're in a really good place to be able to handle all of this, We've built for scale. We've built to be future-proof. So I think we're in a good place.
You have a boilerplate for people, for tech, for the approach.
Exactly, and the mistakes and all the experiences that we went through in the past means that I think we're in a good place to go forward.
Thank you, Kevin.
No problem. Thank you.